You are now listening to 15 Minutes of Fame Radio.
Let's go!
Yeah, I was just talking to RX, and we were talking about like who would have thought, that the number $50,000 would be attached to a battle rapper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like battle rapping, $50,000 in the same sentence.
Crazy. It's
a
super
lot of
dope.
money.
But again, that's what I mean. The evolution, the adaptation of
Yes.
battle rap. Like, I've been here since 2000. I was battling in 2002, 2001. But like as a league owner, I've been here since 2008. We're on the brink of 2021 right now. It's 13 years. Like the progression you've seen battle rap take over the 13 years alone, just in this era. Because we all forget. Like a lot of people. Forget this is just one era of battle rap. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot that happened before all this.
Before.
You know what I mean?
So when you battled in 2002.
Yeah, right. But revisionist history a lot, right? Because people come in and, because they weren't around in those eras, they almost want to act like they weren't as relevant as they were.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it almost like takes away from the value of their speaking point. But I think like a lot of the OGs and everyone, and you still respect it. And I think that's what's cool, seeing the complete evolution from, freestyle battles on beats to the first written battles just happening on the streets to, the multiple DVD outlets that were, rushing to get them to, you look at like what were the Blaze battles, all these things that happened that people forgot. Like, we had RZA battling, we had DMX battling, like, and I'm saying like we as fans because I got that shit on HBO.
Right,
I remember like bugging my parents. I was probably like 11 years old or some shit, right? But like that shit was real back then, man, and that shit was always inspiring. Battle rap to me was always like that. I was just so attracted to it, man. It was just so crazy. I was just like, and I think it's so dope just to see the evolution to a point now where we're giving away $50,000. The last time $50,000 was given away was Jin versus Serious Jones.
That was 50,000.
Yeah, it was 50,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's almost 15 years ago.
Wow.
So, long time.
And that was just a fluke. Let's keep that real. That's a lot of money to be given away back then.
Yeah. I mean, the World Rap Championships had a $50,000 prize, but it was split because it was a 2-on-2. So you as an individual would only maximum amount would be 25, right? So
who was a $50,000 2-on-2?
It was Thesaurus and Ilmac versus Possessed and What's His Face.
Wow, that was 50,000.
Yeah, that was for 50,000.
Back when?
What was that? That was 2005.
God.
Yeah, 2005. So. Shout out Harry from Jump Off TV, man. He's a visionary. He literally slingshot a lot of shit in this battle scene, and doesn't really get a lot of the credit, I think, because of what happened at the end of the World Rap Championships with the footage being stolen on the final thing. So, it's crazy to see the evolution because, I think he was the first person to ever really try to like set forward like a league standard in battling, in the UK, just like setting up the battles and trying to create something. And I don't know if you remember, it was they used to even set up tournaments, and that's what brought Mike Assassin over from the UK.
Don't know that.
No, where he battled Nems in Coney Island, he battled Iron Solomon, in the UK, he had to win a big tournament to be able to have the chance to come over here and freestyle all America's best. And man, they brought him over here and he just got slaughtered, man. Like it was ugly.
It was different.
It was ugly. So like, he went to like, he went to Nems, right on Nems' block. He got like 80 of Nems people, and then there's just like this, British kid freestyling, against everyone. Obviously they had writtens, right? So it was just ugly for him, bro.
He was freestyling and them had it written.
Yeah, same with Iron Solomon. Some of them I'm sure had freestyles too, right? But
shout out to him. He had no clue.
You could see the difference, bro. This boy, every single match he just got dog walked, man.
Wow.
But he still rapped his whole way through, and it was just horrible. But that was, what Harry was trying to do and set up, and the World Rap Championships, the big tournament, and everything like that. Like the vision that he had it all been, forth through. Who knows where battle rap would have went? Because I think all of us, kind of like the leagues took over, kind of when that fell through. When the World Rap Championships after 2007 fell through, that's when the spawn of the league started, right? We all knew that wasn't coming back. It fell to shit on the last event. I was back in Toronto, conspiring with my friends, like how we gonna do something, we gotta set some shit up, and I'm sure Direct and a bunch of people were all doing the same thing, because if you pay attention, all these leagues started off where divisions of the World Rap Championships happened. When the World Rap Championships came to America, the divisions were Atlanta, you know what I mean, New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, you know, these places that eventually turned into grind time divisions or the King of the Dot and stuff. So we all really kind of just picked up where Harry left off. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of history lesson for some people, man.
You're giving me some battle rap history right
for a lot
now.
of people, man. Straight up, yeah. People forget because, you know, they want to, I don't know if people just try to make it seem a certain way, but that's the real story that happened. And that's, you know, I even remember the first media outlet before YouTube, we were using Brightcode.
Was somebody before me? I thought I was the first media outlet.
Not media, I mean, sorry, I meant media platform, like upload our content, you know what I'm saying? Like before YouTube, Jump Off used Brightcode. You know what I mean? Which was all, so a lot of that, it didn't translate over to YouTube. That's why a lot of the new era doesn't understand, because it wasn't uploaded on YouTube at the time it was existing. It was being uploaded on these older things because YouTube only came about in 2005.
2006. Oh,
2005 was its but again, it only really became like real public in 2006 as 2007. So there were platforms that were before YouTube just became the, you know, the predecessor of them all. So,
yo, you're fucking me up right now.
Crazy, right?
What?
Bro, I could tell you the whole thing. I mean, I remember the first pay-per-views. People are like, "Oh, King of the Dot do the first pay-per-views." No, I bought Blaze Battle pay-per-views back in 1998, 2001, and shit like this on HBO. These are pay-per-views you could buy on TV. Watching DMX battle Rizzo, watching all these crazy things, bro. Yeah, man.
I never knew. And you know what's really fucked up is I come from the real era.
Yeah.
Like I come from before rap was on a record or on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Like I come from Harlem World type shit in the Armory and shit like that. So I know I was there when Busy B battled Kumo D.
Crazy.
And shit like that, right?
Crazy.
But then what you're talking about, I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because I think once the internet era took over, you know, it almost created a divide where a new scene, and that's what I mean, like a new era started, where like a lot of the street, because bro, I remember even when Jump Off was happening, they brought Murder Mook and Awkwards as like the commentators, and they were supposed to like, you know, give their oversight on every battle. Like those were the two pinnacle people in battle rap at that time.
Murder Mook and Awkwards
were the
commentated
on the World Rap Championships. Every week they would do their blogs together, and it would be like an overview of what had happened in the World Rap Championships, because it was like the best of like the two scenes, the street and the freestyle era, the Scribble Jam era, because that's another whole scene.
Oh, I know
people
the
forget
Jam
about.
shit.
The Scribble Jam era was
Man.
massive, bro. Like that's a whole another fucking wormhole I can go down for 3 hours, because like what that whole scene created is almost like what turned into a lot of like, you know, the King of the Dot, the grind time eras and stuff like that. So then you go down, you know, a whole bunch of shit. You know, we're talking the ideas, the juices, the recognizes, the gins, the, you know, even then you got the MTV era that never gets spoken about. The MTV battles, you know, shout out Swine. You know, we had him out in the Detroit one recently for the Grand Prix. He was out there as a fan.
Never heard of Swine?
Never heard of Swine? Bro, Swine, he crushed Scribble Jam. He crushed the MTV battles. He like, you know, he took out all the big names, man. The MTV battles were massive back in the day too, man. Massive. I'm gonna have to send you like hundreds of links, man.
No, you know what's gonna have to happen? I definitely would want the links.
Yeah.
But I gotta get you in Jersey, man. And we gotta sit down. I gotta get you to my station.
Yeah.
And we can have fun doing this, bro, because
For sure.
I'm wow. I'm in awe right now. Not just of what you're saying, that you even fucking you know it
Bro,
and you remember it like it was
yesterday. Man, I think people, you know, see my image or something, and you know, I'm probably like a good thing. Like, don't judge a book by its cover, man.
Right,
you know,
right.
Like, I've been in this shit for a long fucking time since I was a kid. You know, I was that kid like. I legit got in hip hop. You know, people were rejecting me even selling Wu-Tang tapes to my parents when I was a little kid, trying to get it, just looping the end of 36 chambers on a tape and trying to add my own verse on the end of it. That was just like, I've always just been, you know, attracted to this stuff, and battle rap and freestyling, I think, was always the thing I thought was so, you know, talented that never got the commercial level display. I've seen the Supernaturals and the Juices, and you know, the people like you know, Many Styles and you know, Pumpkinhead even, you know, I remember Pumpkinhead when he was a part of Brooklyn
PH,
Academy,
man.
man. Yeah, rest in peace, PH, man. And that's someone, you know, I listened to PH, man, when I was a kid, 5 years before I met him. Listened to his battles. I used to download on LimeWire and Napster and shit like that. Just the MP3s.
You
know?
downloading battles on LimeWire and
100%.
Napster.
100%.
I didn't know you can do that back
back
then.
in the day, for sure. You want to know what's crazy? Is mcbattles.com was actually the first like site you can watch battles, and bro, they like it wasn't even worth watching. It must have been like 8 pixels of some shit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you
yeah,
couldn't even make people out, right? But like that's where a lot of the audios were ripped on and put on, and I'm 99% sure it was Poison Pen who actually owned that original site. So Poison Pen's like he's also like a battle rap historian, OG.
He's a fucking icon that
Definitely,
don't get a lot of
definitely.
credit
100%,
or don't get a
man.
lot of respect. Like people
Yup.
think Penn is just some old guy. Like they
Nah,
don't
man.
understand the
Penn's
work
a
he
legend.
put in.
Penn is definitely a legend. You know, I've looked up to Penn since I was a little kid. You know, he's someone that, you know, I've learned a lot from just from watching the way he maneuvered and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's an OG.
See, that's the problem with, I guess you could say, new era and the era before this new era. It's like people either don't know. You ever see Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, of course.
Remember when Ice Cube sit down at the end of the movie, he said, "Don't know, don't show,
Yeah.
or don't care what's going on in the hood." So it's like the new era, they don't know, don't show, and don't care what went on in battle rap before they
Yeah.
were introduced to it.
Well, because you know
Like,
what it is, and I
wow.
always say this, and it's because the power of social media. So you being a new fan, right? You jump into this scene, you start typing your comments, no one's gonna respond to you because who the fuck are you in the mix of a million comments? So what do you do to start developing, you know, a team behind or people that you can talk to and converse about it? You just start agreeing with the masses. You see someone call this guy shit, well fuck it, I'm gonna double down on what you just said there. Now I got a homie in the game with it, you know what I mean? And now my comments and everything start to hold weight when I talk, right? And that's kind of what happens.
You don't fucking know. You just going off of what somebody else said.
They don't want to, you know, a lot of people that's sadly the truth in the world these days. You see people spewing about politics when they fucking just read a newspaper.
Right.
They're acting like they know more about the politicians. And that's just kind of the nature of the world we live in. You know what I mean? People,
Unfortunately.
yeah, people are Google, you know, or you know, Google researchers, and you know that's it.
Yeah, you don't know. And
But you know, that's not to discredit new fans, because I think like, you know, you got to hold your stance and have your value and what you feel is important in the scene.
Right.
If you feel like what you're watching right now is the most important era in battle rap, then stand on that. You know what I mean?
Right. It's
not wrong.
what you like.
Just don't discredit the people that set the staircase for you to walk up that path. You know what I mean? So
I'm going to drop this interview, and then a lot of people are not going to pay attention to what you're saying because they don't understand who you are and what type of historian you are and unless they watch this and really listen and pay attention, like, you know what, you're a battle rap, man.
yeah.
I'm not battle rap compared to you. You know what I mean? People consider me like, you know, a legend in battle. I'm not a fucking legend in battle rap.
You are though. You a legend.
You are.
You are too though.
Man, you're a legend
You
in
help
battle rap.
create legends too. You know, so what I do on a platform, you also developed a platform to help, again, like I said, double down or magnify what these people are doing, because I'm only one arm of the machine. That's why I was so much respect to media, because it's like, look, if I can only reach over here, it helps a lot to have 4 different arms reaching this place. Fuck, I'll be Goro, you know what I mean? And you guys are the extra arms on the machine. You know, we can only do so much, but when we have these other people, you guys help us reach new levels. You guys help us reach new fans. You guys get the info of the rappers that they're not gonna say on camera with us. You guys are able to do stuff to help elevate and push a culture in ways that a league owner can't, because I can't go there and, you know, if I ask some of the questions that you ask, I'm being biased. I'm helping push a narrative. I'm doing the wrong things rather than, you know what I mean? So I'm limited in my space. You know what I mean? I can create a platform to help opportunity and stuff like that financially, but to help the magnifying glass on what they're doing, that's where you guys come in. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, man. But like, again, I've talked to you a few times in my life, brother, and it seems like every time I talk to you, I just get more from you, man, and just have it now. My respect level from you went from 10 to like 310.
Appreciate that.
You know, I mean, because again, man, like we all are a part of something, right? But being a part of something at 10%, man, I gotta sit down and we gotta go through shit. I would love to go through shit and actually pull up footage while we talk.
100%, yeah.
and show people what you're talking about. Because you're talking about it, and I know people are going to be like, yeah. Some people are going to grasp this. Some people are just going to like whatever. But if I can show them what you're talking about, even the grainy footage would be incredible too.
Yeah. And I think that's dope. It would be really, I would love to even kind of, put a magnifying glass on what a lot of these guys have done in the past. I think someone like Thesaurus, bro, like, people don't understand what the fuck he's done. This is an era we all wondered, like, is Thesaurus even ever gonna a cappella battle rap? He's fucking 13 years deep in now, bro. Like, we thought, you know what, he was 2-time Scribble Jam champion, 2-time World Rap champion, Mind Games champion. Like, he fucking won everything back in the day, on beat freestyle battles.
Right.
But his style and how quickly he would lose his voice, it made so many people wonder, like, he's not going to be able to transition. So when Thesaurus did his first battle a cappella against Madness at the grind time, it was a big deal because like, no one thought he was going to be able to transform into this era. They all thought it was the end of that legacy. You know what I mean? The same that we've seen a lot of legacies, and once it came off beat, or once battling went from off the streets to on beat for a little time, you would see people, and so it would be really dope, I think, to kind of show people the history and what people have done. Someone like Ilmac, again, has probably one of the craziest stories in bad rap that people don't know. When Scribble Jam was such a big thing in America back in the day, and it was very, very difficult to get into. You had to be a well-known rapper to be even in the final 16. I think they saved 2 slots, and you had to go through 15 competitions to get it. Ilmac won a battle at a car show in Portland. Then he won another qualifier in Portland, and then he got his chance to go to Cincinnati to battle in a competition the day before. He won that, and then he went into the main competition as a 16-man wild card and fucking won the whole thing. As the youngest kid, 17-year-old champion in Scribble Jam. You know what I mean? It was like a world crazy thing. And the next year it happened on the same thing, where a kid from Australia named Justice won the Australia openers, came over here, ended up beating Thesaurus, Iron Solomon, and all these people, and won the competition. And there's just a lot of cool, crazy stories that happen in battle rap that I think like a lot of people overlook, because the competitions back then gave those storylines, and that's why I'm happy that we're back in this era where competition matters again. It ain't about aura no more. You know what I mean? Aura's good, but in the tournaments, it's about the competitiveness. It's about who's better. It's not about the aura.
Crowd reaction ain't gonna win it for you.
That's it.
God damn. Yeah, I could do this all day, you don't understand. Yeah. But I need to do this where as though I can timeline with you. And I need to really take people on a walk through battle rap for the people that give a fuck. Yeah. And some people don't. Yeah. But for the people that give a fuck, we need to take a walk through battle rap.
There'd be a lot of cool people to have involved in that, man. Yeah. I mean, even, people I fuck with, someone like Bishop, he's been around, even in the Toronto hip-hop scene, what he did before when bringing Jin up and he battled Jin 3 times in Toronto, and it was huge back in the day. Remember when Jin was at the peak of 106 and Park, so that shit was huge. Bishop.
But see, a lot of people only know Jin from 106 and Park.
Did you ever see Bishop's run on 106 and Park?
No.
You got to get Swave to tell you that story, bro, because he pulled some funny shit. He showed up and told the guy who was battling that day that he was supposed to be battling next week, and the guy left, and then they're like, oh, we don't have a rapper, and Bishop's like, I'm here. And then he went on there and he ended up winning, and then the next week he got disqualified for swearing.
Shout out to Bishop Brigante.
Funny shit, finessing his way onto 106 and Park, bro. The Canadian scene provided a lot of laps like that back in the day, man. Because we almost had to do that shit to get on. Because before Drake, before the Raptors, no one gave a fuck about Toronto. Toronto, say, bro, I used to come to California and people like, why you have shorts? You from Canada? You know what I mean? Assuming that once you hit the border, it just fucking snows and the world changes or some shit, right? Because social media didn't exist for everyone to give an open window into that world where you can just see what a city is actually like. You can Google what a city looks like. We never had this back in the day. So it was really what you built up in your head through cartoons, watching The Simpsons,
all we knew about was going over the Niagara Falls in a barrel.
So it's funny, bro. And it's and that's what another thing, it's been, an eye-opening journey, even as me as a battler coming over to where I wouldn't even tell people I was from Canada because they would write you off almost right away when I'd go to American competitions when I was young. You know what I mean? Because then you just have nothing but Canadian jokes against you, and how are you going to win in a room full of Americans when they're like, oh, go home and drink your fucking maple syrup, and you know what I mean? You're just like, damn.
So it's always been an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Forever for you guys to begin with.
But that's I think that's part of the journey, and I think that's what makes it, you know, so rewarding at the end. You know, if it was always so easy, I don't think I would have went so hard for it. I don't think I would have been so determined to continue to try to climb the ladder and find more success in it. It would have just felt natural.
And still going hard.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's what I like about battle rap. It's like, bro, it's not even a financial thing for me, like, at all. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people understand that at this point. Like, it's more about problem solving, adapting, helping people, you know, and obviously, you know, I like to help people. I think that's the main thing that keeps me in battle rap, is seeing and knowing that people are relying on you to help get them that next step and shit like that. That's really what's kept me in battle rap, you know. But yeah, bro, I just love the culture. I really do. I love the competitiveness of it. I love, you know, the unity when, you know, because it is a competitive and aggressive culture. When people see it from the outside, they're like, man, this shit's a shit show. And then something can happen like that, and you watch the community become unionized. We are unity now. You know what I mean? And everyone's together, and, you know, fuck the competitiveness, fuck whatever's going on. It's like you got people there for you. And I think that's what's so dope about battle rap. I've seen it worldwide, you know, artists losing people in their family and seeing people come together to support them, or you know, seeing tragic things happen, and just the community come together, support them, help people get through that. So that's what's dope with it. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Yo, my man, I'm doing an interview over here, bro.
I'll pay for it.
We'll pay for it. How much you got? $3, $4?
That's what you gave me?
Did you take that money?
Nah.
Shout out Danny Myers. Yeah, so, hey, again, man, I could do this all fucking night, bro. You don't understand. I'm sitting here in awe, just learning all this shit, but we got to do it one day.
For sure, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely want to definitely walk through it with you.
15 minutes of fame.
You are now listening to 15 Minutes of Fame Radio.
Let's go.